So I've logged into Scratch, and I can tell that I'm logged in because it says my username at the top of the screen. And from here, I'm going to create a new project. You can do that by clicking the Create button. So once you've gone there, you're taken into the Scratch development interface. Now here I see the name of my project, which is currently untitled. Now let's say I wanted to give this a name. I'll call this My First Project. And just like that, I've saved the name of my project. On the stage here, we have a cat. And this is the default project in Scratch. You have your little cat there. And this is the main working area. So if I were to publish this project and someone were to run it, this is what they would see. Now, it wouldn't really do anything because we haven't added any kind of interactivity to it. They just see a cat. But this is the main working area, and this is what users are going to see. And this is where we test our apps by clicking that green flag. And of course, we'll get more into that later. For now, I just want to introduce that this is the stage. Now, at the bottom, we have settings for adding new sprites, which are graphics. So this cat here would be considered a sprite in game development. We can add additional sprites, and we can change the background. In Scratch, the background is called a backdrop. So we have settings to change both the backdrop and the sprites. Now, in the center of the screen, we have a few different tabs. There's Scripts, Costumes, and Sounds. If I go to Costumes and I have the cat selected, I can see different costumes for the cat. In animation terms, these are called frames. So when I click on Costume 2, the cat goes to a different animation frame where he is walking. So I can click back between 1 and 2 and make it look like the cat is walking in place. We'll get more to this editing pane later on, but just know that this area on the right is broken up into different tabs, and you can click on them, and you're going to see something different based on which tab you have selected, or which sprite you have selected down here. In the Sounds tab, we can see a sound. I have this meow sound effect, and when I click the play button, the sound effect will play. So we'll go back over to Scripts. Now we're going to talk about scripts in a lot of detail later on, but for now, just understand scripts are where you apply the animations and interactivity to your apps. You can test out what scripts will do by clicking on them. So for example, there's this script right here that says move 10 steps. Now I have the sprite selected right here. I can see it's selected because it has that blue box around it. So I have my cat selected. If I want to test out this move 10 steps script, I can just click on it and he'll move 10 steps forward. So each time I click, cat moves forward a little bit. For now, you can just click on these and see what they do, but we're not actually going to build anything in particular just yet. Finally, I wanted to show that there's this toolbar at the top that allows you to modify your objects, like duplicate them, delete them, to make them grow or shrink, and then you also have a help button. And at the bottom of the screen is the backpack. Now, when I click that button to expand the backpack, that's that little arrow button, so it's down here, you just click it, open it up. I have the sprite 1 here, and then I also have another sprite in here, which you probably will not see. The backpack is a place where you can store objects for use in other projects. So let's say you draw something neat and you want to use it in a future project, you can put it in your backpack, and then it's accessible in all of your projects. We'll look more at how that works later. So for now, this is the Scratch interface. We have the stage, then we have backdrops and sprites over here, and then we have the tab sections which control our scripts, costumes, and sounds on the right side of the screen. Let's say you wanted to change the backdrop for your app. Now, for right now, I'm working in a project called Backdrops, which is actually just a blank new project. So if you want to follow along, you can create a new project, and you can do that by going to File, New, and you can name it Backdrops if you'd like. So here I have my sprite right here, and I want to change the backdrop. Now, on the left side, next to sprites, you can see that we have one backdrop on our stage. Now, if I click on that backdrop right here, you can see that it's selected because it has a blue rectangle around it. You'll notice that at the top of the screen, that tab that formerly said Costumes now says Backdrops. Now click on that tab. And that takes us to an interesting page. This page has our backdrops in a list. Now we only have one, so we only see one, but you can actually select the backdrop and you can paint on it using these painting tools. We'll look at the painting tools later on in the course, but just know that that's an option here for now. So how do we add a new backdrop? If you look at these buttons underneath New Backdrop at the bottom left, you'll see that we can choose one from the library. We can paint a new one, and that means we can use the painting tools to do that. We can get one from a file in our computer. So if you have a background image you want to bring in, you can just click that button, grab that image, and it will come onto the stage. Or we can even use the camera to create a new backdrop. So that'll turn on your computer's webcam, and you can take a picture of your face if you want and put it in the background. For now, I'm just going to use the library. So I'm going to click the button to choose a backdrop from the library, and I'm going to pick one of these images. Now these images are actually organized. So if you look at these and there's a lot to sort through and you want to just sort it to indoor images, you can click Indoors under the Category section. You can also follow the themes. So there's a castle theme and a flying theme, etc. So for now I'm going to go back to Category All, and I'm going to choose Bedroom 2. So I'll click on that, and then I'll click OK, and there's the background. Now, if you look over at the right side of the screen in the Backdrops tab, you're going to see that this Bedroom 2 backdrop is selected. But I can also change it back to Backdrop 1 if I want by clicking on Backdrop 1. See, now it's a white backdrop. So we can switch between them. And in this example, let's say we're done using Backdrop 1. We know we're going to keep this room. And if you want to get rid of Backdrop 1, you just click on it, and then you just click that X at the top right. And there it goes, and we only have one backdrop now. Now if I click and drag on the backdrop on the screen, it doesn't move. So a backdrop is a static or non-moving image that goes in the back. If I click to move the cat, he still moves. So I can set him down on the floor over there. And again, notice that when I click on the cat and move him, the backdrop changes back to the costume. So now that I have the cat selected, I see options for the cat here and not the backdrop. If I want the backdrop options back, I just simply click on the backdrop right here. So remember, if you want to change your backdrops, you can just click the buttons down here at the bottom to grab a new backdrop. And we chose one from the library, but you can create one however you'd like. And once you've selected a new backdrop, you can make sure that it's on the backdrop you want by going to the Backdrops tab. And if you don't see the Backdrops tab, just make sure that you have the stage selected at the bottom left corner of your screen.